Hey guys, welcome to Real or Fake Thursdays, where you get to decide if a story is real or just a big pile of bobbly boop. Our first story comes from I'm Bambi Bitch. You know I was the ugly one in that sex tape, right? Background. I was young and dumb and full of cum, and married to a hot young woman who was crazy. You've heard this story before. Long story short, we made a sex tape one night. Sometime later we got divorced, and life went on. As for my ex-wife, I had no kids with her, no property, no nothing. Our divorce was uncontested, although I did give her a lump sum of money to start her life out with. And that was it. Well, it was about a decade after the divorce. All of a sudden, I get an email from my ex-wife. It was a sob story, with a request for me to give her $5,000. I didn't feel it required a response, and so I sent her a response. I just went about my life. Now, my job at the time resulted in my phone number being pretty wildly published, and if you knew my real name, you could easily find my real phone number simply by Googling my name. So I'm guessing that's how my ex-wife got my number, but she called me when I was at work. This is the basic gist of the conversation. Me, hello? Ex-wife, is this Bambi? Me, yes. Who is this? Ex-wife, this is your ex-wife. Me, oh, why are you calling me? Ex-wife, did you get my email? Me, yes. Ex-wife, why didn't you respond? Me, 'cause it's not my problem. Ex-wife, but I really need that $5,000. Me, yeah, and it's not gonna happen. Ex-wife, but I'm your ex-wife. Me, yeah. Ex-wife, again, not my problem. Ex-wife, look, I didn't want to go down this road. Me, then don't. Ex-wife, do you remember that sex tape we made? Me, thinking. I'd honestly forgot about it. I don't even have a copy. Then I remembered. Yeah, I remember it. Ex-wife, if you don't send me $5,000, I'm going to release the sex tape and send it to all of your co-workers, friends, etc. Me, so you're trying to blackmail me? Ex-wife, no, I just need that $5,000. Me, again, that's not my problem. Ex-wife, it will be if I release that video. Me, okay, fine, release it. Ex-wife, excuse me? Me, you do know that I was the ugly one in that sex tape, right? Ex-wife, huh? Me, so you're telling me that if I don't give you $5,000, you're going to release a video of me having sex with some young, attractive woman. And if I remember correctly, you were moaning like crazy. So yeah, if you want to add to my resume, go ahead. Ex-wife, I'm serious. Me too. Ex-wife, F you asshole, and hangs up. Personally, I don't think she even has the video because it was recorded on her phone and my ex had a bad habit of throwing her phone against walls and breaking them. But nevertheless, I felt that taking the steam out of her threat was the best way to end it. And if she ever did release the video, so what? It's been a few months and I haven't heard from her. Nor have any of my friends, family, or co-workers heard of any sex tape. This sounds a little bit like a wish fulfillment story. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Is it real or is it fake? Our next story comes from Starry Gecko. Bridezilla tells a guest to cut her hair short. Am I the asshole for refusing to cut my hair for my friend's wedding? I have wavy brown hair. I used to have a pixie cut, which I maintained for 6 years. While I did love it, the main reason why I kept cutting it short was because it looked awful whenever it grew longer. Last year, it started growing well for the first time in forever, so I decided to grow it out. I haven't gotten a haircut since January in 2022, and my hair is now just past my shoulders. I have no interest in cutting it shorter right now. Anyway, my childhood friend Ali is getting married next month. Last week, I saw her for the first time in a while at a friend's birthday party. The first thing she did when she saw me was comment on my hair, saying she was shocked at how pretty it looked. The next day, Ali called me to say she wanted me to get a pixie cut again for her wedding day. I was a bit shocked, but politely declined. As much as I loved having short hair, I had to get it cut every 3 months to keep the hairstyle. If I didn't, I'd get a mullet that would put Hulk Hogan to shame. I have my own wedding coming up next year, and I want my hair to be longer by then. Also, while it's not too far off my budget to get 4 haircuts a year, I had a baby 3 months ago, and I'd rather spend that money on diapers and clothing. Ali got more forceful, demanding I do it. She said that her family, who hasn't seen me in years, still thinks that I look like a boy, and that seeing me with longer, more feminine hair would take her spotlight. I'm wearing a dress to the wedding, and my boobs have increased twice in size since I started breastfeeding, so I don't think I'd look like a boy even if I did get a pixie cut, but oh well. I offered to wear a wig. My friend has one that he can lend me, but nope, she wants me to cut it. I might have considered her request if I was in the wedding party, but I'm not. I'm just a guest. Ali hasn't banned me from the wedding or anything drastic, but clearly she's bitter about this. She keeps making passive-aggressive comments about my refusal in our group chat, and keeps sending me old pictures of us from when my hair was still short. I really don't want to budge on this, but I'm starting to doubt myself. Am I the asshole? Okay, this seems insane. It'd be bad enough if you were in the wedding party, but just a guest? And you've got your own wedding coming up? I don't know, this seems too crazy to be real. Let me know, real or fake. Our next story is from Autistic Muffin 97. This was my petty revenge. 2 years ago, I was engaged and happy, but that all came to a crashing halt when I found out that my fiancé had cheated on me at a party with a girl he'd known from way back in high school. His best friend texted me a photo of the evidence of it happening, so he couldn't deny it. 3 months prior to that, we'd planned to move in together, and 2 nights later we were supposed to move in together at my place. The night that he was packing up his shit, I packed up my shit too. I was renting from an elderly man, super sweet guy, and I told him that I would not be renewing my lease. My friends helped me load up all of my things, and I left. I waited to get a text about why he couldn't get into the house and why it was vacant. I sent him the picture I was sent, and I also sent it to his mother, his father, his stepmother, and his stepfather. That afternoon, I changed my phone number and deactivated my email so he couldn't get hold of me. His parents won't let him move back in with them, and he is homeless. Even his best friend isn't his best friend anymore. The last I heard, he got addicted and is now living in a homeless camp. Too long, didn't read? My fiancé cheated on me. I disappeared before he could move in and basically made him homeless by letting his parents know what kind of man he is. He got addicted and is now living in a homeless camp. Edit. When I talked to his parents, I also wrote them a check in the amount that they had spent. I told them that we broke up and they asked why, so I told them why by sending the picture that was sent to me. His parents' choices and his ex-best friend's choices are their own. His drug use and his homelessness was his choice. So guys, what do you think? Is this real or is it just a wishful daydream of someone who was cheated on? Seems a little extreme that his parents, who let him live with them, would leave him stranded on the street and just watch as he spirals into drug addiction and ends up in a homeless camp. Also, his best friend abandons him too, and OP called his parents up to pay them back for the wedding? How'd OP even know what's happened to him? I don't know, what do you guys think? Is this real or fake? If it's real, this is not petty revenge, this is like pro-revenge. Our next story comes from daughter BMW. Am I the arsehole for selling my daughter's car? I, a 56-year-old male, have a son, 28-year-old male, and a daughter, 22-year-old female. I like both my kids equally. However, they are different individuals with different lives, so I help them based on their needs. Equality. Remember, he likes his kids equally. Likes them, not loves them. My son did not do well in high school. He went to a community college and after a semester decided it wasn't for him and went to trade school. He eventually settled on HVAC. He had issues sticking with things, so as a reward, when he became certified in HVAC, I bought him a brand new truck as a gift. My daughter got into a good college out of state and was always more academically minded. When she was about to finish high school, it came as a surprise to me that she'd taken it for granted that I'd also get her a new car, even though I never said I would. I explained that there would be no need for a college girl in a big city to have a car. She then asked if I'd help with tuition. I did not pay for trade school either, so I declined. She seemed down, so eventually I offered to buy a used car in my name. She could use it for a while until I decide to sell it, but she would have to maintain it. She seemed really happy with that, so we got an old 99 BMW for really cheap. The body was in good condition, but the engine and transmission needed work, and it needed painting. She did the essential fixes first, but then slowly started doing unnecessary ones, even though I never asked, and repainted most of the car and had the interior detailed. When she came back for a visit this week after finishing her finals, I decided it was time to sell the car and listed it. She seems upset with me even though this is what we agreed on, and I never asked her to repaint the car. She said that she thought I was going to sell it much later when it was rusted or something. She also says that I can sell it for more expensive because of her fixes, But the reality is that I got the car just before the pandemic, and used cars cost a lot more since then. And that's why I can sell it for more. I offered to pay her back for half of the paintwork. Am I the asshole here? Edit. Okay, people seem to think it was wrong, but my son only got the truck after schooling, and my daughter has not finished school yet. I have not thought of a graduation gift yet, but the car was only listed. I'll think about it and reconsider. Edit 2. Okay, I'll let her keep it and delist it for now. My plan was always to sell it, as I feel like 90s BMWs in good shape are desirable, but she seems attached to the car now. This one can't be real, but you decide down in the comments. Our last story comes from Perfunctory. And the moon was high in the sky. A recent post asking for advice on annoyance reminded me of what I did to an ex. The guy was a real jerk and I'd absolutely had it with him. He worked in Manhattan and commuted in from Long Island, a 90-minute train ride, followed by a subway ride and a few blocks of walking. So, going home wasn't really an option if something were to happen to his clothes. So anyway, we'd had a fight the day before, and he called me some pretty foul names because I'd corrected him and proven him wrong about some facts he swore was true. He was a pretty petty fucker, and I have no idea why I stayed with him as long as I did. He hated being embarrassed, and one night when he was drunk, he told me how during school when he was a teen, the seat of his pants gave out and ripped during class. His parents both worked in the city, and commuting home to get him from school or to bring him a change of clothing wasn't an option. He ended up having to wear a pair of basketball shorts from the Lost and Found over his ripped jeans all day. The teasing lasted until he graduated a few years later. Anyway, he called me a sanctimonious cunt for politely saying, "Josh, you've got your dates mixed up. The Civil War started in 1861, not 1859. We were playing a trivia game with two of his friends in teams, and I wanted the point for getting it right. Losing team had to pay for pizza and beer, and his two friends could eat a whole pie each and put away a six-pack on top of it. I'd had enough of his bullshit. His friend brought up the high school incident, and I realized I had the perfect revenge. He wore his blue slacks more often than the others, so wear and tear was expected. They were several years old, and I had to help him fix a hem that let down a few months earlier. Something going wrong with them wouldn't be suspicious at all. So, I took a seam ripper and carefully undid every third stitch. Just enough damage that they'd eventually fail, but not so much that they'd fail the first time he sat down. The next day, he pulled them on and went to work like normal. Around lunchtime, I get a panicked phone call because the entire seat of his pants had torn out, exposing his skid mark-stained tighty-whities to everyone in the conference room during a meeting. He had nothing else to wear and obviously couldn't leave the building to go shopping like that. The whole seam had just given away. It took every ounce of control I had to sound sorry and bewildered. I must have asked half a dozen times how that could just happen. He said they must have been older than he remembered and begged me to bring him new slacks. Sadly, I was at work and unable to leave and help. So imagine a grown-ass man walking around with a suit jacket tied around his waist all day to hide his underwear. He resigned soon after because of the humiliation. I dumped him about a week later. It was glorious. He was utterly humiliated while giving a presentation. I had no idea he had a presentation that day. I just figured they'd bust in the break room or when he sat down at some point during the day. Messing with seams is a great way to get petty revenge on someone. They'll have no idea it was you and think it's just a wardrobe malfunction. Down in the comments, Lola Boo Dude says, "You ripped him a new one." Coda Joe says, "Seems your revenge worked out well." Plula says, "You had me in stitches." Gabby Johnson is right says, "That was so good." And Plula says, "I like this thread." This really did seem to work out a little bit too well. So what do you guys think? Is it real or is it fake? Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.